everything okay with you? Good weather in Budapest? Oh yeah. So I'm very happy to be here again, and this morning we will make a workshop with our Dexibell instruments. We put 2 instruments on the stage for you. This is our S9, is our flagship. So basically everything we developed is inside. Okay, I will explain a little bit later where the instruments distinguish, like the S7, the S3, the P7, etc., S7 Pro, S3 Pro. Second instrument, we put our Classico. This is an instrument dedicated to classical music. We'll get there eventually. This presentation will take a little bit more than 1 hour, probably, more or less, depending on how fast I will play the songs. And then we will have some time for Q&A and for you to try the instruments and to ask some questions, etc. Is that okay with everybody? It's okay to... I'm sorry, I still cannot speak Hungarian. Apart from egészségedre, that's the only word that's the only word I really can say. And music is international anyway. So let's just have a go. This was just my warm-up, okay? Is the sound okay for everybody? Is not too loud? Not booming? Perfect. So you have heard the fantastic piano sound that we did for our Dexibell instruments. Let's just dive a little bit into the technology at that moment, okay? Our sound engine is called True to Life T2L, and we are on 48 kilohertz, 24-bit. And the sample length for the note before going into the loop for saving memory is around 15 seconds. This is far above industry standard. Also, we have managed to separate several components of the piano sound, such as a hammer noise, key noise, etc. Let me just give you a short idea about that. So I have my T2L editor open now. I can twist the knob and change the volume and the impact of the hammer. The key off noise. That's the mechanical noise in the piano, and when you crank that up, you get that feeling of authenticity, to be close to the... Sexy. The damper pedal noise. And all these noises, of course, are dynamic. So if I push soft, they're soft. If I push strong, they're strong. String resonance, one of the most important parameters, because when we recorded all the sound from the acoustic grand piano, we study deeply the behavior of the grand piano, not just recording with the microphone. That's something probably everybody can do today, but to study really inside what is happening when I do this, what is happening when I do this, and then we try to replicate. So one major thing, as you know, is the resonance. I do a silent touch here. So in the acoustic piano, the two dampers are open now, and then I can. All the harmonics. If I do this the opposite way, I do a silent chord. You have the resonance on that side. And this is one of the most important functions in our instrument, to create the resonances in real time. Same goes for the damper resonance, the soundboard resonance. It's not a reverb you're hearing now. You hear that? Which exists in the acoustic grand piano, okay? Then another important part of the sound is what we call staccato resonance. I cut all the reverb now, so what you hear is just the pure sound. And you can hear the real behavior of the acoustic piano. If you want to compare the sound with some other brand, just cut the reverb and do staccato, and then you make your own ideas and evaluation, okay? Also, the behavior in the low end, you can hear, is really long. Just imagine the grand piano is very, very huge. The string is like that. To stop the string is not like that. It takes some time. And as long as the string is vibrating, I'm able to catch it with the pedal. Just listen. Even if I press the pedal after release of the key. That's all things that we discover when we started creating the sound. These kind of behaviors, and we replicate in a digital way in our T2L engine. And this is why the sound is so much vivid and alive. And this is why the instrument has the name Vivo, which is Italian for alive. Then if you compare staccato resonance of the grand piano with the upright piano, very different, right? It's much more boomy, because the shape of the upright is different, the behavior is different. So we analyze every sound we made in this deep level. Okay, so maybe with the upright piano you can do. And again, big dynamic range. This is one of the goals also in our instrument. The difference between pianissimo, let me try that. I don't change anything. You can hear the dynamic range is amazing, and this is due to 24-bit, which gives you in a mathematical spoken way 256 times more dynamic range than 16-bit. That's quite amazing. When we created the sound, we asked our piano technician to be with us the whole time. So, because he can change a lot of the sound in the acoustic piano. Just, for example, by changing the hardness of the hammer, he can change the sound dramatically. Let me give you an example. So we asked him to create the big concert grand, middle of the road kind of sound that you would know from Then we ask, soften the hammers for the more romantic. Much more soft. And then we ask, now please make the hammers more hard for more rock, jazz. Very different sound. Then we can, of course, layer sounds up to 4 parts, not just 2, 4. So let me do that. I can bring in the synth sound with my expression pedal, which is underneath my right foot, so it can go. And then, now I have 4 sounds: piano, synth, electric piano, and bass. Go like. And again, dynamic. You can really make it breathe, right? Then, when we made our first step in finalizing sound, of course, we compare to different brands, but also to acoustic piano and even to recording of acoustic piano. So I have a USB stick here. We have an audio player. I have loaded a recording of Vladimir Horowitz playing Steinway grand piano at Carnegie Hall, New York. Okay, listen. Okay, so this is another benchmark we do for ourselves to be, because our idea at Dexibell is to bring the digital piano as close as possible today with our technology to the grand piano. This is why we make this kind of crazy comparison. And of course this goes for all the piano sounds, the acoustic piano sounds, upright piano sounds, etc. But this also goes for the electric pianos. That was just a Wurlitzer sound. Let's go through some of the electric pianos now. Let's imagine Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. He doesn't have the piano some 100 years ago, but he found a Rhodes in his room. Wow, what would he have done? We did the clavinet. With an automatic wah-wah. So the wah-wah depends on your touch. Or, if you prefer, on the pedal. So it's up to you. Then the CP80. Another legend in vintage electric pianos, or half electric pianos in that case. have a split point. Piano and synth brass with the expression pedal. Then we already did the Wurlitzer. Of course, there's effects here. So on this part, you will find 2 multi-effects for every sound. For example, here I do have a electric piano tremolo. I can change intensity. Now a little bit too much. And the speed of the tremolo. Or I can have some chorus, and this will give me the typical Supertramp kind of sound. With the split point. No, I'm not gonna sing that. Then FM pianos from the time. Everybody knows this sound. Then going back to the Rhodes one more time, I'd like to show you what we've done again in the T2L editor. We have hammer noise. But this time everything is derived from the Fender Rhodes sound. Key off noise. Damper pedal. Off noise, which is the stopping of the vibration of the tines in the Rhodes, which gives you that little zzz when you stop the note. I can remove. Now it's gone. Okay. Then we have the bell part, which is that high frequent. I really crank it up now. You hear that high frequency? I turn it down now. Much more soft. Hear all the dynamics and all the noises in the Rhodes. I just played the Rhodes downstairs. It's so close to that sound. It's amazing. And then, of course, you can do the what I call the ballad Rhodes with the reverb and the chorus and everything. Now we have that. Yay! Let's go to Los Angeles. Bring in the synth pad. Yeah. So you can hear all the articulations and everything. So this is real music instrument, which is fantastic. Let's move a little bit to some classical sounds. such as a celesta, a little bit of magic. Yay! So speaking about classical sounds, we have a dedicated instrument for that, which is the Classico. Let me just move over there for a couple of minutes. The classical sounds that we can have here are basically derived from our classical instrument, from our Classico. And the main purpose of the instrument, and that's also visible due to the layout, you can see on the screen these stops. This is typical for a pipe organ in the church. So let's go for that. Including the cathedral reverb, okay? So in this instrument you will find several kind of pipe organ: British, French, American, German Baroque for Bach, and an instrument that we call the positive, which is kind of a small box with pipe organ, with pipe inside. Sort of portable in the church. I mean, in this world nothing is portable, but sort of portable. So it has that fine, small pipe sound. I have to practice every day. If it's Bach, whew. Okay, so you see this is the small positive. Then we have the huge cathedral. Including orchestral sounds. And the cathedral reverb. So there is dedicated buttons for tuning. Tuning is important. For Baroque music, you probably will go down in tuning, or you will change the scale if you want to go for this Baroque authenticity. Then there is the button for the reverb. So let's listen to the huge cathedral organ with no reverb. A little bit funny. So let's bring back the reverb. Yeah, now we are back in the game. Then classical sounds. Mozart again. And you can hear in the solo sound, we take care for the articulation, staccato or legato. So again, this is the behavior modeling, because again, our sound engine is a combination of sampling and modeling to make the sound the most authenticity that we can achieve today. Naturally, we have a piano in this instrument. Derived from our Vivo series. We have classical sounds as harpsichord. With the strings. The flute. So the idea of this instrument basically is to have pipe organ sounds, different kind of pipe organs, of course, then classical sounds, piano, celeste, harpsichord, etc., etc. Because we feel that, of course, if you are living in a big city, maybe like Budapest, or I'm living in Berlin, the big orchestra, they have a lot of enough money to buy the grand piano, to buy the celeste, to buy the harpsichord, and everything. But in smaller places, probably not. So maybe they can buy a grand piano, but that's the end of the story. With this instrument, they can have a pipe organ, a celeste, a harpsichord, and everything in their orchestra. The instrument has 2 internal speakers. We just designed a subwoofer to be able to reproduce the low frequency of the pipe organ, the big 32-foot, and you will be absolutely in the game here. To close this little presentation of the L3, some more pipe organ sound. I told you in the S9 we have everything that we did, so we also have the pipe organ sounds inside this instrument. And we have a lot of other organ sounds, and you can see we have motorized draw faders. So these 9 drawbars, they are motorized, so when I change patches, when I do something, I always see what I have. Very, very good function. I need your help. So you could hear a very, very nice vintage drawbar organ sound. I could hear some nice groove, Budapest style, very nice. Thank you for supporting me on that. Let's just have a short go through several of the ideas of the drawbar sound. One very, very important component, of course, is also the percussion, the p for the articulation. Do you have some brush? It's not 11 in the morning now, huh? I always get lost in that one. So you could hear very fine articulation, and of course in the editor, in the T2L, You have access to parameters as leakage, which is that high frequent part of the sound. We have access to click. We have overdrive. We have vibrato. So if I go for, let me say, a V2, typical Hammond. I'm not allowed to say the word, I'm sorry. Too late. Kind of vibrato. That's too much key click now. Let's remove. Let's just go back to the 50s. So very, very authentic 50s sound. Let's go to the 70s. With a lot of overdrive, amp simulation. I can have the percussion on the left side. This is emulating playing with the left hand on the upper keyboard. So you can do that kind of... like kind of what Emerson always did, right? So... And I did the rotary speaker switch on the pedal again. And we even took the microphone. We put it inside the rotary speaker to record the belt and wind noise. If I stop, if I start again, it adds that, you know, spice, like a good spice in the soup. We need the sound, we need this kind of noise. You can go for the... So all these kind of things. Then, of course, we did... Hang on. We did the Vox Continental. And due to the modeling engine, you can design basically any kind of sound. So you can have the jazzy. You can have the more 60s. In 60s, it was a big fashion to use a lot of reverb on the organ sound, right? So you had that. Or a guy like Walter Wanderley, maybe you're familiar with that guy, playing with Astrud Gilberto. Always a lot of reverb, very articulate sound, like. So that typical thing, the farfisa of the time. Even in the 90s, it was used as, maybe you remember, this one. And then going back to the to the 70s, let me just play that song. We had, of course, again, Emerson. Here we go. So much for the, thank you so much. So much for the organ sounds. Let's take it back one more time to some, I have an idea. Because we just published a couple of new synth sounds. So let me show them to you, okay? Because this keyboard in the S9 has also aftertouch. So if you press, you... I have a split point. I have 3 sounds on the left side. I have the filters. And now I'm combining all the sounds without the split point. So also synth sound at Dexibell today, no problem. Another combination of synth sound, solo sound here, with a timed multi-tap delay, filter, one split zone in the middle. I can freeze this chord, I can filter it. And this filter is independent from the filter here. Another split zone for the bass. Another filter, which I put to the second pedal. So again, very, very open, very, very flexible. Let's just have a brief talk about our lineup of instruments. So everything I have been doing here related to piano, synth, electric piano, you can do on all our instruments, like S3, S3 Pro, S7, S7 Pro, P3, P7, S1, SX7, the module, for people who don't want to change their keyboard, but they love our sound, we have the module. Or even for silent piano, this module brings the great Dexibell sound into your house, okay? Then also for the home models, everything piano related that you heard me doing, you can do there as well. In the S9, which is our flagship, on top of the piano and synth, we also have the organ engine and the motorized drawbars. And then there is the J7, which we call our combo organ. It has exactly the same engine as the S9, just in a 73-note waterfall version. So we say, if you are a piano player and sometimes like to play the organ sound, it's the S9. If you are an organ player who sometimes like to use the piano sound, it's a J7. Okay. So much about our lineup. We have a web page, of course, and on the web page you will find a lot of new sounds. And it's steadily growing sound library. You download the sound, you put to the USB stick, and you import into your instrument. You can do this at the instrument. You don't need an extra software or something. You do everything at your instrument. That's a big advantage. Then you can save your sound set on the USB stick. Loading the complete sound set takes around 4 minutes. That's very fast. So we are also very good there. So let me give you some ideas of... So this is a sound I have from our webpage. It's not originally in the S9. Then I bring the strings, the cello. And even some orchestral percussion. Right, so you have that, thank you. You have that thing, and this orchestral percussion also is derived from the Classico, but we have the same engine, so we can use here, and you will find this in our webpage. Then another claim we make, another thing we have, and we are very proud of, is polyphony. We don't count 64, 128, whatever, we don't care anymore, because we have unlimited polyphony, and I want to show this to you now. I can change sounds without cutting the sound, without cutting the effect, as many times as I like, not just twice. We can do as many times as we want. So give you an example, starting with an oboe. Bring in the strings. Changing the sound. Going back. Changing again the sound. Changing again. Everything's still there. You didn't lose the oboe, you didn't lose the strings. I can even still control the strings. Change as many times as I like. And now I can play as many notes as I like. Still everything there, okay? This is due to the power of our sound engine, and this function, this feature we have also in our entire lineup. You can always go back and say, which song am I choosing? Okay, let's do this one. No gap at all. Again, changing. miss the drums, right? Thank you very much. I don't want to call somebody. I just want to connect my phone now. Come here. Because it would be really nice to have some grooves, some drums. Let me see. Here it is. Another thing that we can do with Dexibell instruments, you can connect with one USB cable, your phone, your iPad, or even your laptop. There's an audio interface inside. If you connect your laptop, for example, to integrate MainStage or Ableton Live, whatever, the latency is at 128 samples is 2.67 milliseconds. That's very high end. That's in the high league of audio interface. You can route everything through your instrument. You can use the MIDI faders for controlling the external gear. Just make a MIDI learn in Ableton or MainStage, and you will use these to change volumes or filters or what you need to do, okay? At Dexibell, we have two apps. One is the editor. We will look at that when you come closer, because no meaning like that. And the other app is we call Xmure. In Xmure, you will find patterns, grooves, loops, but loops that you can control. If you change the chord in the loop will change, despite the fact that it's audio. So I want to give you an example. I miss one hand now. Okay. Let's do it like that. So let me say I want to play a Stevie Wonder song, Summer Soft is called. Oh, let's see if we have some groove. See the bass line? It's adjusting to what I'm playing. If I want to have more than a bass, We have several grooves available, and the good news for Dexibell user, the app is for free. Thank you. Thank you very much.